Thanks for tuning in today. This is Barry Heads with Sharp Counsel. Our sharp snippet for today will be simply called the 80-20 risk, short and sweet. We are still in our 80-20 series. And again, I know some of you all may not have heard of 80-20 or have forgotten the definition of 80-20. But what we're talking about is the Pareto Principle. Some people call it 80-20, some people call it the Pareto Principle. There are different names for it. But it is a basic principle that comes from the Italian economist named Pareto. He found this principle in 1896 while he was teaching at a university. And he found out that through research that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people in one particular country. Then he started to search around the world and he found out similar results too. In different countries, 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. And we still see that today. The top 20% of people living in America own the majority of the resources financially. And the top 10% own even more of the resources. And the top 1% own even more of the resources, right? So what Pareto found was 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes on average, right? So, for example, in the business world, 20% of your customers will give you about 80% of your revenue. I'll say that again. About 20% of your customers will give you about 80% of your revenue. It's always around that number. So sometimes it's 1090 or 2575, but it's on average, it's around that area. We see that. I went over this last time in part one of our 80-20 series, but I'll go over it again. If you go into your closet, 20, if you have 10 pairs of shoes, two of those shoes you'll wear 80% of the time. All right. Same thing for your clothes. 20% of your clothes you'll wear on average about 80% of the time. In your workout, for those of you who go to the gym or run around the block or play basketball or tennis at your local park or college, 20% of your workout will give you 80% of your results. So, when we talk about risk taking in the 80-20% realm, who you choose to have around you matters so much. Okay. So I want you to think about this in depth. Your team in your organization. If you have 10 people or 50 people in your organization, the people who you choose to spend the most time with will have an enormous effect on you. So if you have 50 people in your organization, the 10 people you spend the most time with, which is about 20% of the people, the 10 people you spend the most time with will have the largest effect on you. Your advisors and consultants will have an enormous effect on you. How you think, your energy, your personality, um, your happiness. Those people will have a lot of effect on you. Your friends, they affect you. They have an extreme effect on you. If they're combative and angry and mean, how do you think you're going to become? What do you think you're going to become? If they are using drugs or they are alcoholics, what do you think you're going to become? These people have a huge effect on you. Now, if they're joyful and your friends are kind and they're generous, what do you think you're going to become? Okay. So be careful who you spend time with. The 20% of the people you spend the most time with will have an enormous effect on your life, on your livelihood, your life standard, your peace, your joy, your happiness. In risk taking, I said all that to say it's a risk. Unfortunately, it's a risk in coming into deep connections with people, whether that's working relationships, whether that's family relationships, a marital partner, or friendships. There is a risk there. So be wise about who you connect with on a long term basis. The second thing I wanted to go over was the risks that you're thinking about taking aren't worth it. What I mean by that is, I say if you have 10 things on your mind that you are thinking about taking a risk on, whether that's a project, whether that's a friendship, whether that's a financial gamble, or a financial project, the stock market. Let's say you have 10 things in mind to take a risk on. 80% of those things don't do, or 70% of those things don't do. Okay? Don't waste time on unworthy risks. Don't waste not just time, but don't waste money on risks that are unworthy. If you have 10 ideas that you want to take risk on, choose two or three to take a risk on. Choose your top two or three. Don't take a risk on all 10. And the simple fact is that even if you did take a risk on all 10, uh, you'll probably fail in a lot of those. You'll waste a lot of money. You'll waste a lot of time. You'll waste a lot of your attention and a lot of your energy on things that could be used for a more productive project. We have limited time. I'll say that again. We have limited time. Once you honor your time, other people will begin to honor your time. Once you esteem yourself more, other people will esteem you more. So be very efficient. Think very deeply about the risks you're taking with your time, your money, your energy, your friendships, your organization. Think deeply. And if you have 10, take a risk on two or three, not all 10. And the last thing I want to talk about when we talk about 80-20 risk taking is to get in early. Okay. When we take risks, for example, with the stock market, get in early. Once everybody knows about a new booming stock, um, or about some other opportunity, the upside or the return isn't as large. So once you hear about a great new IPO or a stock that may be rising soon, and you do your research, you do your due diligence, once you hear about it, if you're on the cutting edge, okay, if you are knowing about this opportunity early, you might want to take a risk on it, especially if you've done your due diligence and you like what you see. Because once 80% of the population knows about the new opportunity, it's no longer new. And a lot of the upside is gone. It's no more, it's no longer as attractive. All right. Your upside or your opportunity to gain a return isn't as high. So you've got to get in early. You take your risk early to get the biggest return possible. This is Barry Heads with Sharp Counsel. Have a great day.